Hey everybody, my name's Michelle. I'm a therapist in the Seattle, Washington area with my practice Next Chapter Counseling, and I figured the time is right to make a video about what you can do to cope with being quarantined with someone during this COVID-19 outbreak that is happening globally. And this is really affecting people not only physically, clearly, but also mentally and emotionally, especially if in your state or where you live, you've been ordered to stay at home. Some people are calling it a stay-at-home order. That's what we have here in Washington state right now. Shelter in place is another term that's being used, but more or less it's resulting in people spending a lot more time at home together than they normally would because many people are working from home, or just in general, kids are home from school, whatever the case may be, we're getting a lot more time together with one another, more so than usual. You can probably see by my background, I'm working from home today as part of the stay-at-home order, and I will be for the next few weeks. So how to survive this, I guess you could say, and not just survive, but how to have this be an enjoyable time with the people you live with, whether that's your spouse, your kids, roommates, whoever. How can you not get on each other's nerves too much during this time? Because there can be such a thing as too much of a good thing, and too much together time could be one way that looks. So I've come up with 3 different things that I recommend. Some of these may be things that you've heard about before because there has been some information circulating out there about how to, again, cope with the people that you live with during this time. But I'm going to add in my 2 cents to the mix of what I think can be helpful. And I'm going to list 3 different things, but I really recommend pick one. Trying to do all 3 of these at once may feel like too much change. Well, there's already enough change in the world. So after I list all of them, think about the one that applies maybe the most to you or the people you live with, the one you're most in need of, and then try to implement that as best you can. So the first thing that I want to recommend is figuring out what it looks like to spend time apart during this. Now, some of this might come pretty easily if, I don't know, you're still having a pretty normal work day. Maybe one of you is working upstairs and one of you is working downstairs and you're getting time apart together like that. That might work pretty well, but I think it's important to, as a team, as a unit, figure out when is going to be some time that we spend separately. Maybe that's going to be, if this works for you guys, picking 1 hour a day that it's like during that hour, we're all going to be in different rooms doing our own thing and not communicating with each other so that we get some time alone or some privacy or whatever it is. It may be that each of you goes for a walk at a different time of day. If the weather's nice and you can get out, and physically you're up for that or something like that, it could look that way. But talking with the people you live with about how are we going to make sure that we're actually setting aside some time for us to be separate from each other, that can be really important to just name that, hey, you know, even though we love each other and we want to spend time together, we also want to spend time alone as well, especially if that was something that you were used to getting prior to all this. Like if you and your partner worked different schedules, for example, and you were used to getting a couple hours at home to yourself each day, but now those hours are gone, it's important to figure out a way to reclaim that and to normalize that your guys' time together will be better if you guys have some time separate as well. So discuss and determine what that could look like for you guys so that you get, I would say at least 30 minutes a day apart. What each family or each couple needs is going to look different, but that's what I would recommend, is figuring out what that time separate looks like. The second thing runs counter to that, which is figuring out what your time together is going to look like. I've heard lots of talk out there about how one of the beautiful things that has come out of this is that more families are getting time at home together. So they're being able to play board games together in the evening or just have more movie nights or whatever it is. They're getting more quality time together. And this is beautiful. So if you haven't already talked about that with your partner, your kids, the other people you live with, come up with at least one new activity that during this time you guys want to try together more. Maybe you want to cook together more often. Maybe you don't normally get a chance to do that. Maybe there have been some movies you guys have been wanting to watch that you haven't gotten to, but decide what can we do together to make sure we're getting some more quality time. Even if it's just one extra thing a week, it might not be one extra thing every day, but like something to look forward to in the week where it's like, yeah, we're going to make sure that we get to spending some quality time together that we don't normally get a chance to do. Do something different. So talk about that too, if that's what you're really feeling that you're needing. Maybe it's not so much that the people you live with are getting on your nerves and you don't feel like you need a lot of separate time, but maybe it just feels like we're getting time together, but all we're doing is staring at our screens. Like it's not quality time. We're just sitting on the couch for more hours than we normally would, and wanting to make sure that you guys get good quality time together. So talk about what that could look like. And then the final thing that I want to recommend is that it's really important, if nothing else, to be making sure that you guys are talking honestly about your feelings during this time. There can be lots of emotions coming up. You guys may be on different pages about what is okay versus what's not okay during this time. And how to cope with this. You guys may just have different ideas of what that looks like. And if you are setting a tone in your household of we're not going to talk about COVID-19, like we're not going to talk about the coronavirus, I would encourage you to shift that. Whether it's at dinner each day, you guys go around and you just all share, how are we feeling? Like if you have kids or things like that, because your kids are going to have emotions about this too. They can obviously understand that something is different, even if they don't understand the full magnitude of what's happening in the world. Create some time to really share with each other. How are we feeling about this today? Today, are you angry? Today, are you sad? Today, are you happy? Today, are you, like, what are you feeling today? And again, if this is a conversation between adults, it can be a little more complex, a little more nuanced, but really making sure it doesn't have to be that every day you check in, but check in more than maybe you are right now. It's important to be giving voice to what you're feeling, and for both of you to keep an open mind about your partner's opinion on this situation, or again, your roommates, your family members, the other people you live with, to keep an open mind about where they're at with it, and to leave space for everybody's answers to be okay and to be right. So make sure you're talking about it. Yes, we're hearing a lot about it on the news. We're seeing a lot about it on our Facebook feeds. It's something that we can't avoid. And at the same time, looking at the information in isolation and on your own time is very different than processing your feelings about it out loud with someone else. So I encourage you to really make an intentional effort to start doing that more during this time too. So those are my 3 suggestions. Like I said, I recommend picking one, but either determining what it's going to be like for you guys to have time separate each day, what your together time could look like during the week to make it more of a quality together time, and also to make sure you guys are talking openly about your feelings. If you have a question for me, send it in an email to nextchapter.michelle@gmail.com. Any questions about love, relationships, anything like that, and I'll answer it in a future video. All right, thanks everybody.